Do you know how much you are worth? Do you sometimes feel sidelined, second guessed, overlooked? Are your decisions questioned? Hey, what about that promotion? Have you been overlooked for a well deserved promotion? Perhaps it's because you have not been able to quantify your value. I'm Tiffany O with the Career Winner Circle, and today I'm with my partner, Tammy Alvarez, and we are going to talk about the value proposition. Tammy, I'll pass it over to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Tiffany. And quantifying your value is one of the most common things women are not good at, which is why I was so excited to introduce this concept into the Own Your Power program, which we are going to talk about a little bit later. But let's talk about why quantifying your value is important. The biggest reason why is because if you don't do it, no one else will.
Mm.
No one is going to sit there and trying to figure out how much you actually matter to an organization. You need to do that for yourself and show your team members how to do that as well. And so when we're able to quantify our value, a couple things happen. All of a sudden, our confidence starts to increase because now it's not just something you know in your gut, it's something you can actually count. And with that confidence means you're starting to play bigger. And when you start to play bigger, you're making a bigger impact. The other thing that happens when you start to quantify your value is you start to get really clear on the things that matter most to the organization and where you fit. So you can continue to step in and drive that strategy or start to drive that strategy if you're not at the table yet. And then another big so what to be able to quantify your value is because you want to know your value in the marketplace. Let's not kid ourselves, right? We all know that we are day to day in terms of our jobs. And so from that perspective, you always want to know what you're bringing and how big you're playing so you can understand how you can leverage that both internally and externally within your organizations if need be.
So, Tammy, that's a lot. Can you break this down into some bite sized strategies and maybe tell us a story about quantifying your value?
Yeah, absolutely. And so many stories. I know you've got a few under your up your sleeve too. So we can both do some storytelling here. There are three easy ways to really start to get command and control over quantifying your value. So that way you know what it is and you can make sure that everyone else does too. The first one is really being able to tie your performance. And when I say you, I mean you personally and your teams, right? So you take accountability and credibility for all the work. And so in terms of time, cost, and quality. So it doesn't matter whether you're in sales or whether you're in audit or anything in between, everything should be able to impact time, cost, and quality. At least two out of the three, if not all three. And when you can tie that to, are we doing this faster? Are we doing this better? Or are we doing this less expensively? Then you can always monetize your value because the reality is we tend to be a little squishy in how we think about our value. Well, we get work done and our teams like us and we're collaborative and those things are very important. However, in some cases, if you can't count it, it doesn't count. And so for me, when I ran sales teams, dead simple. I didn't need a performance review. I never had a performance review because that was called the P&L. How much money did I bring in? Was it enough? Great, good job. If it wasn't, okay, we have a problem. And so that was easy. But now when I'm in audit and leading teams in that, we're so far removed from revenue, so far removed from products, programs, and anything, quite frankly, sexy, that helps make money. How do you quantify your value? And the way I was able to look at this was really taking a look at, okay, what processes changed as a result of what we did? And were they faster, cheaper, smarter?
Mm.
And did we avoid penalties and fines? Because that counts, right? Not paying that money. And so there's always a way to put a dollar sign in front of what you do. You just have to be a little more creative in being able to figure it out the further you are away from the customer. And if you haven't done this in a while, go back to your old resume and see the last time you started to count things, because that's when usually we start to pay attention to this. It's when we want to leave, which is too late. So do it now while you're in a role and you're happy where you are, and make sure you start to build those good habits.
I really love this conversation where you're going. And I think in terms of value, when you said time, cost, and quality, I think that quality area is particular prickly area where some leaders need to build up some bench strength, right?
Mhm.
So continuous quality improvement. It's the science of baking quality into our work, right? And being able to use some metrics to be able to measure whether or not we're delivering quality from the perspective of our stakeholders. That particular skill set is something leaders really need to develop and build.
Absolutely. Good news is we have that in the Own Your Power program. How lucky is that?
We do.
Absolutely. All right. So power move number 2 to quantify your value is to make sure the things that you do connect to business goals. Because if all the things that you're doing are good and high value, but they don't help the company achieve its biggest goals, you are unfortunately walking down a road to nowhere. And no one wants to do that. So if you are sitting on the sidelines or feel like you're just doing all what I call the doormat projects, which aren't the sexy ones or the ones no one else wants, then this is probably an area that you are struggling in. And Tiffany, I know you've got some really good stories in terms of how we should be thinking about tying to business goals and what value actually means in the modern economy.
Yeah, I train future leaders in the organizational transformation space for a university and a college. And in the course that we're teaching, we have baked in sort of this whole value proposition conversation into our program. Leaders that are getting certified to change the organizational transformation or project management, they can't do anything. They can't even get certified unless they understand how to deliver value, drive value, and define value on the front end. All of that business casing that we do. I wonder how many leaders are really good at writing those business cases and being able to tie some of those metrics, create those OKRs, those KPIs, those dashboards, and also getting sort of the definitions from the voice of the stakeholder. All of that contributes to our ability to drive value on the front end and deliver it on the back end.
Fantastic. And those are really strong skills to have because we're continuing to evolve our ability to know what value really means. And, with AI and how fast we can data crunch now and make better decisions, it's just going to help everyone show up bigger and better for our customers, which is why this is, also very, very important. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
the third thing in terms of quantifying your value that you need to get really comfortable with is being able to understand and express your value in 3 different ways. We have intrinsic, we have impact, and we have innovation. Now, intrinsic value are those things that you have that we assume everyone else has, but they don't, like common sense, the ability to work as a team, good communication skills. Like those are the things that we assume everyone has, but those that actually do are rock stars just because, they've got that front and center. So identify what your intrinsic skills are. Then the next level in that value pyramid is impact. And that goes back to the time, cost, and quality work that you've done. So why are things better because you're there?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you measure those? And then the top of the pyramid is innovation. And so what are the things that you're doing to drive new ideas, new, product development, new ways of doing business, better ways to serve customers? And again, from that innovative perspective, where are you showing up? Because when you've got that base of intrinsic value, you know that they're better with you than without you, and you can count that. And you're leading for the future. You have got an amazing foundation that is going to be very, very hard to beat.
Yeah, and Tammy, that's a great. I love that third point. And I think we can't have that conversation unless we talk about the strategic impact we have, the downstream impact on our people,
Yes,
right? So as leaders, as we're delivering that value, how are we measuring that, right? Sometimes we're measuring it through team performance.
absolutely.
Our
Most of the time we
our
are, right? Yes.
our team's ability to work cohesively and to drive for results. And a lot of that has to do with our ability to identify and develop talent and keep them at the table. So all of that, it's the whole package. It's the data, it's the number, but it's also not getting our eye off the people.
Yeah, for sure. Because without that, nothing happens.
That's
And
right.
and it makes a lot more fun when you do that as well, right? So to bring this home, for those of you watching, if you want to move the ball on being able to quantify your value today, then these are the things you want to focus on. Make sure that you are aligning your value to time, cost, and quality, things you can count. Make sure that you are connected to the company's biggest and sometimes most challenging business goals. And the last thing is to make sure that your value pyramid is strong with your intrinsic, your impact, and your innovation.
So, do you want to be one of those cool kids at the table? Do you want to be invited to the most strategic conversations in your organization? Do you want to be the one behind driving value and delivering results? Then you need to join in this conversation with Tammy and I as we launch the Own Your Power program, our 8-week mastermind program. And of course, this particular conversation is just one of many. Tammy, any final concluding words?
Absolutely. So this masterclass is something that we have used for years. And I am personally just beyond excited that Tiffany's leading the pack and joining me on this time. So I always have to do it by myself. So it's way more fun to do it with another thought leader that I love to mind meld with. And here's the impact, right? We've talked about 2 out of the 5 power moves. So if you didn't watch Strengthen Your Voice, then go back and look at that again, because you're going to want to see that. And so the way you get in on this action for you and your team is by clicking the link below. You're going to be able to get into pre-sales because we are opening the waitlist now, pre-sales soon. Masterclass starts on October 1st. And if you need a discovery call with Tiffany, she is more than happy to meet you, learn if this is the right thing for you, and really help guide you on your journey as you join us to own your power. So make sure you click those links below. We've got 3 more power moves that we need to talk about, so stay tuned for that. And thanks for watching and joining us today.
Have a great